I feel sorry for whatever woman settles for this, she said about our apartment. So I let her leave for her rich boyfriend. Now she's back begging, and I don't even care. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. 3 years. That's how long Jessica and I had been together when she delivered the line that ended everything. 3 years of shared meals, Netflix binges, and lazy Sunday mornings. 3 years of me thinking we were building something real. I should have seen it coming. The signs were there for months. The way she'd gotten quieter during our usual evenings together, always scrolling through Instagram instead of talking. How she'd started mentioning David from her marketing team more frequently. David drives this amazing Porsche, or David took clients to that new rooftop restaurant downtown. I figured it was just work stress, or maybe she was feeling stuck in her career. I was coming home from my job at the insurance company that Tuesday when I saw the boxes. Cardboard boxes stacked by our front door, some already sealed with packing tape. My stomach dropped, but I told myself maybe she was just decluttering. Jessica had been talking about Marie Kondo and minimalism lately. Jess, I called out, setting down my keys on the small table we'd picked out together at Target 2 years ago. She emerged from the bedroom carrying another box, her face set in that expression I'd learned meant she'd already made up her mind about something. She was dressed nicer than usual for a Tuesday evening. The black dress she usually saved for work presentations, her hair done. We need to talk, she said, not meeting my eyes. I looked around our living room. More boxes. The framed photos of us were gone from the mantel. The throw pillows she'd insisted on buying were nowhere to be seen. What's going on? I asked, though part of me already knew. She set the box down and turned to face me fully for the first time. Mike, I'm leaving. I found a place downtown. The words hit me like cold water. What do you mean, leaving? Did something happen? Are we? Is this about money? I know the apartment isn't fancy, but we've been saving for… It's not about money, she cut me off. Then she looked around our living room. Really looked around, and her expression shifted to something I'd never seen before. Disgust. Pure disgust. God, I can't believe I lived like this for 3 years. I followed her gaze, trying to see what she was seeing. Our secondhand couch that we'd found on Craigslist, the one she'd been excited about because it was real leather. The 43-inch TV we'd bought on sale last Black Friday. The curtains we'd picked out together at HomeGoods, laughing about whether the pattern was too bold. What do you mean? We've been happy here. She let out a laugh that wasn't really a laugh. Have we? Mike, look around. Really look. I did look around. I saw the home we'd built together. The bookshelf where her romance novels sat next to my Tom Clancy paperbacks. The kitchen where I'd made her chicken parmesan every Sunday. The dining table where we'd played cards on rainy nights. She gestured broadly at everything. The furniture, the decorations, the life we'd created. This secondhand couch, that tiny TV, those clearance store curtains. I feel sorry for whatever woman settles for this. The words landed like a punch. I actually felt my chest tighten, like I couldn't get enough air. She wasn't just leaving me. She was looking at our entire life together like it was something pathetic, something to be ashamed of. I thought you liked our home, I managed to say. I convinced myself I did, she said, already moving toward another box. But David's place has floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city. This looks like a college dorm room. David. Of course it was David. When did this start? I asked. With him. She paused in her packing, and for a second, I thought I saw something like guilt cross her face. But it passed quickly. It's not about him, Mike. It's about me finally wanting more from life than safe and predictable. Safe and predictable, I repeated. Is that what I am to you? You're a good guy, she said, and somehow that felt worse than if she'd just called me an asshole. But I need more than good. I need exciting. I need someone who wants to build something bigger than this. She waved her hand around again, dismissing 3 years like they were nothing. So our 3 years meant nothing? They meant I learned what I don't want. That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement of what we'd shared. Just a cold assessment that I was a learning experience she was ready to move past. I stood there watching her pack the last of her things. She moved efficiently, like she'd been planning this for weeks. Maybe she had been. When she was done, she turned to me one last time. I'm not trying to hurt you, Mike. But I need more than this. David gets that. He understands ambition. And I don't. You're content working the same job, living in the same apartment, doing the same things every weekend. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not enough for me anymore. She grabbed her purse and keys. I'll come back for the rest this weekend when you're not here. And then she was gone. Just like that. 3 years reduced to a Tuesday evening conversation and some cardboard boxes. I sat on our secondhand couch for a long time that night, looking around the apartment she'd found so disappointing. The silence was different now. Not peaceful like it used to be when we'd both be reading or watching TV. Just empty. The first few weeks were brutal. I kept expecting her to walk through the door, or to wake up and find out it had all been some horrible dream. I'd catch myself buying her favorite yogurt at the grocery store, or automatically recording shows she liked to watch. But she didn't come back. Instead, I started seeing her Instagram posts. Photos of expensive dinners at restaurants I'd never heard of. Cocktails at rooftop bars. A weekend trip to Napa Valley. Her smile was different in these photos. Brighter, like she'd been holding back her real happiness the entire time she was with me. One post particularly stung. It was a photo of David's apartment. Those floor-to-ceiling windows she'd mentioned, with the city spread out below. The caption read, "Finally living like an adult, clinking glasses, hashtag no more settling, hashtag level up." I stopped looking at her social media after that. Sarah, Jessica's former roommate from college, called me about 2 months after the breakup. "Mike, I don't know if I should be calling you, but I'm worried about Jess." "What do you mean?" "She seems different, more stressed, and she keeps asking about you, like whether you're dating anyone or if you ever mention her." I didn't say anything. "Look, I know she hurt you, but maybe you could call her? I think she might be realizing she made a mistake." "That's not my problem anymore, Sarah. Come on, you two had something real. Everyone could see it. If it was real to her, she wouldn't have left." Sarah sighed. "She's just scared, Mike. David's world is so different from what she's used to. I think she's in over her head. I'm sure she'll figure it out." But Sarah's call had planted something in my mind. Not hope. I wasn't stupid enough for that. But curiosity. What was Jessica's new life really like behind those Instagram posts? I didn't have to wonder long. About a week later, Tom from work mentioned seeing her at a coffee shop downtown, looking rough. When I pressed him for details, he said she seemed tired and kept checking her phone anxiously. "She asked about you, actually," Tom said. "Wanted to know how you were doing." "What did you tell her?" "That you were doing great." "Which you are, man. You've seemed happier lately." He was right. I had been feeling better. Not happy exactly, but clearer. Like fog lifting. I'd started cooking actual meals again instead of living on takeout. I'd been going to the gym more regularly. Small changes, but they added up. The call came on a Saturday morning about 6 months after she'd left. Unknown number, but I recognized her voice immediately. "Mike, please don't hang up." I almost did. My finger hovered over the end button. "What do you need, Jessica?" I was wondering if, could we maybe get coffee? I have some things I need to say." Her voice sounded different. Smaller somehow. "I don't think that's a good idea. Please, Mike." "David, things went bad. Really bad. I don't have anyone else." Part of me wanted to ask what happened. Part of me wanted to tell her I'd warned her, that I'd seen this coming. But mostly, I just felt tired. "I'm sorry you're having a hard time," I said. "Take care of yourself." I hung up. She tried calling back twice that day. I didn't answer. Over the next few weeks, I started piecing together what had happened through mutual friends and the occasional social media glimpse. David, it turned out, wasn't quite the successful investment banker he'd portrayed himself as. His divorce the year before had been messy and expensive. The penthouse apartment was heavily mortgaged, and he was living paycheck to paycheck to maintain his lifestyle. Worse, Jessica wasn't his only girlfriend. Sarah eventually told me that David had been seeing at least 2 other women the entire time he was with Jessica. When she confronted him about it, he'd calmly explained that he'd never promised exclusivity and that she was welcome to date other people too. "But I moved in with you," she'd apparently said. "And you can move out," had been his response. Which she did. Or rather, which he made her do when she pressed the issue about their relationship. By then, Jessica had quit her job to focus on supporting David's career, attending client dinners, networking events, playing the part of the successful girlfriend. Without income and having burned bridges at her old company, she couldn't afford her own place. I learned all this secondhand, through Sarah and other mutual friends who seemed to think I should care. They painted it as a cautionary tale, like Jessica had learned her lesson and deserved sympathy. I didn't feel sympathy. I didn't feel satisfaction either, exactly. Mostly, I felt nothing. That changed the day she showed up at my door. I was getting home from the gym on a Thursday evening when I saw her sitting on the steps outside my apartment building. She looked different, thinner, and her hair wasn't styled the way it used to be. She was wearing jeans and a sweatshirt I recognized from when we were together. "Hi, Mike." "Jessica, what are you doing here?" She stood up as I approached the door. "I was hoping we could talk. I thought we covered that on the phone. Please, just 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I let her follow me upstairs. When I opened the apartment door, she stopped short. "Oh my God. Mike, this place looks incredible." I looked around, trying to see it through her eyes. I had made some changes over the past 8 months. New furniture, not expensive, but better quality than what we'd had. A bigger TV that I'd saved up for. Some actual artwork on the walls instead of the movie posters from college. Plants that I'd somehow managed to keep alive. It was still the same apartment, but it felt more grown-up. More intentional. "Thanks," I said. "What are you doing here, Jessica?" She was still staring around the room, like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. "I was wrong," she said finally. "About everything. This place, us. I can see that now." "Okay." She turned to look at me fully. "That's it? Just okay?" "Mike, I'm homeless." "David." He wasn't what I thought. He was using me, playing me the whole time. I set down my gym bag and grabbed a water from the fridge. "I'm sorry to hear that. How can you be so cold? I know you still care about me." I took a long drink of water before answering. The truth was, I didn't feel cold. I didn't feel anything. Looking at her standing in my living room, I realized that somewhere over the past few months, I'd stopped thinking about her entirely. She'd become just someone I used to know. "I don't actually," I said. "I haven't thought about you in months." Her face crumpled. "You don't mean that." "I do mean it. But we were together for 3 years. You loved me." "I did love you," I agreed. Past tense. She started crying then. Not the pretty crying from movies, but the messy, desperate kind. "I made a mistake, Mike. A huge mistake. I see that now. You were good to me. You were real." I watched her cry and felt nothing. No urge to comfort her. No satisfaction at seeing her pain. Just a distant sort of observation, like watching a sad movie about strangers. "I need help," she said through her tears. "I don't have anywhere to go. Sarah's couch is only temporary, and I can't afford first month's rent anywhere decent. I lost my job recommendation because of how I left, and David, he made sure I couldn't get hired anywhere in marketing downtown. There are shelters that can help," I said, "and temp agencies for work." She stared at me like I was a stranger. "Shelters? Mike, it's me. It's Jessica. I know who you are." "Then how can you just not care? After everything we shared?" I thought about that for a moment. How could I explain that everything we'd shared had been recontextualized by that moment when she'd looked around our home with disgust? That her cruelty had somehow freed me from the hold she'd had on me? "You made it clear that what we shared wasn't valuable to you," I said finally. "So it stopped being valuable to me too." She was quiet for a long moment, just crying. Then she tried a different approach. "I could help around here," she said. "Clean, cook, whatever you need. Just until I get back on my feet. I don't need help. Everyone needs help sometimes. Not from you." The words came out harder than I'd intended, but they were true. The thought of her living here again, after what she'd said about this place, about my life, about me, it was impossible. She must have seen something in my face because she stopped crying and just looked at me. "You really don't care anymore." "No, I don't. I don't believe that. You're just hurt. You're trying to hurt me back." I walked over to the door and opened it. "I'm not trying to hurt you, Jessica. I'm just done talking about this." She didn't move at first. "This isn't you, Mike. You're not cruel." "You're right. I'm not cruel. That's why I'm not going to say what I'm actually thinking right now." She searched my face for something, anger, pain, anything she could work with. But there wasn't anything there for her anymore. Finally, she walked toward the door. She paused when she reached me. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, "for what I said about this place. About you. I was scared and stupid, and I'm sorry. I know you are. Can you forgive me?" I thought about that question. Could I forgive her? I realized I already had, in a way. Forgiveness wasn't the issue. "I forgive you," I said. "But that doesn't change anything." She nodded like she understood, even though I could see in her eyes that she didn't. "Not really. Will you?" Will you think about it? About us trying again? No, I said, gently but firmly. I won't. After she left, I stood in my apartment looking around at the life I'd built without her. She was right that it looked incredible, but not for the reasons she thought. It looked incredible because it was mine. Because every choice I'd made, from the couch to the plants to the way I spent my evenings, had been mine alone. I never heard from Jessica directly again after that night. Sarah called a few more times over the next couple months, updating me on Jessica's situation like she thought I was keeping track. Jessica had found a job at a smaller marketing firm, but it paid much less than her old position. She was living in a studio apartment in a part of town she used to make fun of. She was going to therapy and working on herself. She asks about you sometimes, Sarah told me during her last call. She wanted me to tell you that she's different now, that she understands what she lost. Okay, I said. That's it. Just okay. What else would you like me to say? I don't know. Something. Anything. You two were so good together. We really weren't, though. I realized as I said it. We were comfortable together. That's different. 6 months later, I started dating Emma, a teacher I met at a coffee shop near my office. She was funny and smart, and she thought my apartment was cozy and welcoming. When she met my friends, she fit in immediately. When I met her friends, they liked me too. Emma didn't need me to be more ambitious or exciting or different. She liked me exactly as I was. And I liked her exactly as she was. It was the easiest thing in the world. One evening, about a year after that final conversation with Jessica, Emma and I were cooking dinner together when she mentioned seeing someone who looked familiar at the grocery store. I think it might have been your ex, she said casually, chopping vegetables. Sarah showed me pictures that time at drinks. She looked, I don't know, tired, I guess. She was by herself, buying frozen dinners. I said, stirring the pasta sauce. Emma looked at me. Do you ever think about her? I considered the question honestly. No, not really. Not even curious about how she's doing? Not particularly. Emma smiled. Good. I was a little worried you might still have feelings there. I don't. And I really didn't. Jessica had become someone I used to know, someone from a different version of my life. Sometimes I'd remember funny things she'd said or sweet moments we'd shared, the way you might remember a good movie you saw years ago. But there was no emotional weight to those memories anymore. The last time I thought about her was when I got a LinkedIn notification that she'd updated her profile. New job at a mid-level marketing agency. She looked professional in her headshot, but older somehow. I scrolled past without clicking on her profile. That night, Emma and I watched a movie on my couch, the one Jessica had dismissed as secondhand and pathetic. Emma was curled up against me, laughing at the funny parts, her feet tucked under the throw blanket we'd bought together. I love this couch, she murmured during a quiet scene. Yeah, it's so comfortable, and it's the perfect size for cuddling. I kissed the top of her head, thinking about how strange it was that Jessica had been so wrong about everything. This couch wasn't pathetic. This apartment wasn't embarrassing. This life wasn't something to settle for. It was exactly what I'd wanted all along. I just needed someone who wanted it too. Jessica had been right about one thing, though. She would have been settling if she'd stayed. Not because my life wasn't good enough, but because she wasn't happy enough with herself to appreciate good things when she had them. I felt sorry for whatever woman had to learn that the hard way. But mostly, I didn't think about her at all. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.